Well, as a connoisseur of the gangster genre, particularly love coming across old films that I never seen before, and I end up liking. And it's kind of a hit and miss when they come out these days, and it appears like we have here is an amazing movie that I love. That is kind of a little bit controversial what people think about it, so I'm gonna break it down for y'all. Now, the movie is called Kill the Irishman. It has an cast of people that I absolutely fucking love. The old Walken himself was in it, and as soon as I saw the title screen, I knew I had to watch it because I had kind of heard, I had seen documentaries on the real Danny Green, and I'm always in love with this timeline, the 70s to 80s, of just how fucked up the US was and how much organized crime and corruption there was. And this movie seems to exemplify this immensely right off the bat. And it takes place in a time when, you know what, hard men had to live and work hardly. And seems like a instantly like a heroic story of Danny Green and how he rose through the ranks of infamy amongst all kinds of wanderers and whatnots that are nobodies, no ones, and how his story kind of entices into the most amazing, heroic event in history. Now, it's unlike most gangster movies that kind of take on a niche of power and darkness and kind of bad seediness of just these terrible people and what they did, it project them in a good light. Actually, Danny Green is somewhat of a good person in a bad movie because he does do righteous things and his methods and executions are questionable, but at the same time, he really seems to fucking take on like this cool badass hero kind of motif, and that I didn't realize that quite off the bat when you start watching it, because it's very, very unlike a conventional gangster movie. Well, before you know it, you're off into the hardcore crime drama where Danny Green kicks ass and gets ahead immensely. But and one of the things that you start to learn and start to like about this movie is that just how likable Danny is. At first, I didn't really know what to think of him, but as the movie drags on, you just become so enamored with this character who just devoutly seems like a good person. It's an older movie and it becomes kind of evidently clear as you're moving along, but some of the parts in there are just so different and so awesome compared to what a conventional gangster part is all about. I mean, for one example, is right off the bat when he just takes over this fucking labor union office of his. It's just a fucking great scene. And it's clear from the beginning that the success is coming about for Danny Green, and you see some wonderful scenes of him getting success and becoming someone in his little circle of friends, and how his life succeeds and becomes more great as time goes along. And like basically what you have here is you have a situation where a person is going against all odds and becoming super successful right off the bat of the movie. And it's a fucking like it's a perfect scene. It just comes at you really quick and you're like, well, something bad's gonna happen. And we've all seen this part in it when success rides in the world of underworld crime, you know it's fucking gonna get bad. And what's different about this movie is his friends in his group that he hangs out with is likable, and you want them all to fucking succeed. He's got a nice wife. He's got a little cop friend. He's got his crew. He's all very well put together, and it makes for a more likable gang, so to speak, than just a whole group of hoodlums and gangsters who are just nasty and mean, and one person shines out. And it isn't long until things go bad for the old Danny Green, and he's locked up, and he's looking after his things, and you really deeply, deeply feel for this character, because in many ways he does kind of do right, but at the same time he doesn't do it in a right way. From here, it almost feels like a video game redemption arc where the character has to regain all of what he has, and it is kind of exciting to think of what he's going to come up with after he rose so sharply and fell so deeply. And you feel that with the character too, but along the way, he becomes an utter badass and embroiled in this shithole world full of fucking annoying ass people who just piss people off and take advantage of him. Daniel Green seems to be one of those people who just stands up and doesn't give a fuck and just does whatever the hell his emotions take him. And there's some fabulous scenes of him just projecting this greatness upon the world. And as you go along the movie, you start to really fucking enjoy the discoveries and conversations he has between his close knit group of friends. Vincent D'Onofrio is an actor I really liked in this movie, and he shines pretty brightly as a close, cool friend of Danny Green's and an associate with the mob. And he kind of projects this really cool guy vibe, and every time I've seen him, and every time I've seen his appearance on screen, he really captures it. He's a great actor. He's a great actor, and the actor that plays Danny Green is fucking fabulous as well. Heartbreaking that Ray Stevenson had to fucking die because he has some roles that are just iconic. Iconic. Transporter, Irishman, fucking Thor, like anything you can freaking think of. Punisher, fucking, I loved him in Rome. I loved him in Rome. He was a fucking amazing guy. And then this just adds to the roster of these great actors and artists that are now dead and fucking fade away from existence, you know? All we have left is their cinematic presence and love. And what a presence on this film he has, commanding every scene with his large stature and crazed look upon his face almost at all times. He really hit his emotional levels on every little event that happens in the movie, and I think that's what makes an actor a fucking great actor, is because if they can become a character, if they can just live it out and play it out and feel like they are realistically interpreted on film, that's the best that an actor can do, and fuck, Ray Stevenson just does it on this. He really feels like you're not even looking at an actor, that you're feeling the feelings and the emotions along with them. Now, on to the crime elements of this movie, and although it has some extremely violent scenes, there's actually quite a bit of these bombings and hits that take place, but they're not overly bad. It does have some pretty great effects in these types of movies, and I think you can agree that if there's a movie that's a crime drama and it doesn't have a lot of violence in it, and you only see one or two really great scenes, then it kind of wanes on you a little bit. I mean, not that you need that to make a great film, but holy shit, this movie dials it up to some extreme scenes, some wicked action in it. One of the scenes he takes and he just pops a guy who is coming at him, and it's good because you realize that Danny Green has way higher weapon skill than this other gangster, and I think that really like comes down to all talk and all show. He comes at him with just a stupid attempt on getting him, coming flying in with a car with a dumbass driver who's a low-level hitman, and Danny Green just schools them because he has more experience, he has more strength, he has more inner fight in him than these two goons would ever do that, and it just shows instantaneously how he's a pro master at what he fucking does. Every time you get a little closer to Danny Green, you start to realize he has a close friend who's extremely awesome, Val Kilmer. Oh, love Kilmer. Kilmer is a stellar actor, and although he's come in and out of the attention and popular span in years and people's memories, he fucking nails this performance because he's just such an out there weird cop, and he never always throws off a really fucked up vibe about him where he's just like he doesn't really care about the law. He's just kind of there for it. He he's just a corrupt cop, and when things really go bad for Danny 4 years later, he makes the stage and makes the scene just utterly epic. And I love how the two of them are still friends after all that time and all that those problems exist. I'd also like to point out old Vinnie Jones, big Vinnie Jones fan, probably up there in the top Vinnie Jones fan list. I'd love to meet him one day. He's a fucking incredible actor, commanding performance, but he tones it down a lot in this. And he tones it down because he's not the ultimate badass. He's kind of just a goon of Danny's and a funny, weird dude. But still, Vinnie Jones just does it for me. And we get the old Walken in this. Now, Walken, of course, is legendary actor, incredible. Doesn't doesn't even have to try when it comes to acting. He's just fucking incredible. Anything you get him to do, he's gonna be amazing. And embroiled in the underworlds of crime, there's actually some pretty touching moments in this movie. Some goodness, and I think that's what sets it apart from most conventional gangster movies, is that there's good people to be liked here, even though they're in a bad circumstances. So here you are as a little downtrodden Danny Green, but he comes right up to the fucking comes right up to it, and he gets tested on his most trying and difficult times. And you see that in his life, and you see them with his mustache, how intense he's gotten. I must say, all these lungs, that's kind of a scary thought, like if they used to do that in the mob, it's like you can sense the paranoia that most characters are having, as they're always like looking under their vehicles and stuff. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. And the mood and seediness of Cleveland is wonderfully shot and wonderfully edited. It just feels right. And the whole movie, just the cinematics and how intense it all feels is great. There's a lot of loyalty in Danny's crew. Fucking awesome, yeah. They kick ass. It's a kick ass movie, and that's the thing is, some of the movie parts are a little over the top, like when Danny's house gets bombed and the other things that kind of happen there along the way. Sometimes you're a little bit eye rolly, but I don't fully agree with the bad rating on this movie. It's not a bad movie. It's pretty amazing, but I put it in about the 9 to 10 range for me, just because of some of the parts a little over the top. It hurts to see all that happens to Danny, but it comes up on it comes up on it overall as a very good movie for me. Well, in this world of criminess and grittiness, when you bork the bork, you stork the stork, and there is no matter of time before things start going bad again for Danny. And that's like the ups and downs of movies and cinematics, is that sometimes you're like, you have to show shit. You have to show bad shit. So what I like to refer to as the Walking Dead effect is that, like, if things go too right for too long, it's, like, yeah, there has to be some conflict with so much needing to be told in a movie. Whereas a video game, you can pan it out and have the good times where the characters just hanging out at their apartment or walking down the street or doing medial things that have time. Movies have to show a lot in a short span of time, hour to couple hours. So what they have to do is they have to take and make it so that there's this huge cinematic, all these pieces and puzzles at play, for it to not go redundant. Not to say that the redundant stuff isn't nice, and that the old Paulie's in this as well. And they touch on a little bit of the mobster stuff, but it mostly focuses on Danny's crew, but it's intertwined with the mafia culture in this. And it kind of shows how local gangs had interplay between major mafiosos back in time. I think some of the best scenes are the scenes where he's kind of got like this sailor tough man motif going on, and he really brings back like IRA and these tough Europeans that came to America to be something and be someone. But I mean, at the end of the day, Danny Green was a criminal, and I'm sure the movie left out parts that the real person probably fucking did some probably heinous stuff. I would imagine there was drugs involved in his life, although I never quite saw any of that much in it. I don't think Dan even drank, and there may have been, maybe he didn't, maybe he didn't at all. But I mean, when you have these people and they have these problems, there's guaranteed to be some shoddy shit. Who knows if Danny was ever mean or bad to any of his girlfriends or his wife or anything in the real life. But overall, in the movie, it portrays him as generally a good human being. And I think that what you have is you have someone who is deeply conflicted. You have someone who is trapped in a world that is just out to get him, and he has to continually fight. Um, but at the same time, if you get into real details of these people, I mean, they did bad things and they were wrong in the essence of what they did. Um, but I mean, when you show a movie, you can show them as a lighthearted crew of people, and that's what kind of what this movie does. Is it's more lighthearted than your traditional gloomy, gloppy, whoppy, bad bad movie. But I mean, you have some pretty good scenes there. It's good. It's really good period piece. Is likable, and you really can't go wrong with a movie like this. It's a fucking movie that people probably overskim, and some people don't like, and some people hate. And I had to watch a fucking Gaudi. Now Gaudi was a fucking stupid movie, and it sucks to watch. But this movie's not like that. There's awesome scenes and there's awesome characters, and I think that if you were gonna watch it, you should watch it right now. I don't know if I've spoiled anything, and I don't really care, but it's yeah, it's something that it exists. Kill the Irishman, and you know, you sometimes come across these movies, you've never seen them before, and you just all of a sudden you come across them. And this is what happened to me with this movie. And it's important to explore these types of feelings. And when you come across a movie that just out of nowhere you fucking find and you fucking like, you gotta fucking talk about it on the internet. Otherwise, who the fuck cares? But we have a very good movie here, and when you dig through the piles of shit in modern movie, and you just see a film cover, and you're just like, yeah, okay, I love Val Kilmer, love Christopher Walken. Um, Sometimes you don't even notice that Ray Stevenson is in movies, but he's fantastic, and it just has an ensemble cast. Everybody plays pretty good roles here, and the actors are pouring their heart and soul into that. And I think that's what making movies is all about. Is that you have to try and want to make something good. If you're just wanting to make something to make money, then you're gonna fucking fail every time. Now, I don't think this movie did particularly good. Number one, because I never heard about it. But I mean, it could have been a moderate success. But it was certainly no Joker, I'd imagine. And I mean, you have to try and think of ways you could make a movie better, and to portray what this movie was getting at, I don't think you could do it much better than this. I mean, besides making this a TV series. Now, when I was watching this movie, I was kind of hoping that this would have been a TV series, because at the same time, you could have gotten so much more out of the story of Danny Green than this. But alas, that's something we'll sadly never get with this exact set and time period. But I mean, yeah, if you were able to pump a series into this would be fantastic level thing. And I think that these unconventional gangster stories like Peaky Blinders and such are just perfect scenarios for these types of films, because you want to know the more mundane details of these people's lives, whereas Kill the Irishman is more of like a very epic. It's like an epic tale. You know, he goes from nothing to everything a couple times, and it's all a part of the downfall of, you know, that. It's all this like epic story, and I like the Celtic warrior motifs they have going on. But yeah, fucking great movie. And we need more epic crime drama movies because they're always fun. And if they hit all the right notes, like Casino and fucking Goodfellas and this type of movie, and just all the other ones, Godfather, all the ones that are just truly classic. I don't think this film is quite on the level of best of all time, but it's in there. It's up there with them, up in the lower tier. Kings of New York, this Belly, stuff like that are it's just interesting to check out. It's an interesting set. It's an interesting scene. It's just very, very, very cool movie. So that's my review on Kill the Irishman, the story of Danny Green. And like I said, I've given it about an 8 or a 9, depending on what scale you'd like to say on. Certain parts are a little bit over the top, but the acting is fantastic and the set piece is wonderful. Uh, Definitely would recommend it. Definitely recommend it. We have it at like, what is it? It's sitting around like average type reviews. Rotten Tomatoes 65, TV Guide 50, IMDb 7. 80% of users like this movie. So like I said, like an 8 would be 8 would be perfect on this movie for me. IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes a little bit fucking naffed because of course you're gonna have critical people who are critics and like to pick apart the movie. But if you're just an average fucking Joe and you just want to see a cool little flick, this is a fucking beautiful movie, and you don't really need to deconstruct it too much to see that Danny Green was just a badass who fucking did crazy ass motherfucking shit.